From the moment President John F. Kennedy promised that the United States would place an astronaut on the moon by the end of the decade, for NASA and what ultimately became known as the Apollo program, schedules became the preeminent driver of project managers. The president also added a requirement that not only would the U.S. place an astronaut on the moon, but would also return that person safely to the Earth. To understand the challenge that was placed before NASA, it has to be appreciated that when he issued that challenge on May 25, 1961, only one man, Yuri Gagarin of the former Soviet Union, had traveled into space, and that had only been a month previous to Kennedy's announcement. The U.S. would not orbit an astronaut around the Earth for almost another year when John Glenn orbited the Earth 3 times in a Mercury capsule, Friendship 7. The sheer number of tasks associated with the Apollo project mandated the use of all manner of scheduling and work tracking tools, as well as numerous meetings to coordinate work between task groups and between NASA and its private contractors to reach that moment on July 21, 1969, when Neil Armstrong placed his left boot on the lunar surface. If you're fortunate, you will have the opportunity to work on a similar history-making project as the Apollo program. But even if you don't, the scheduling and communications lessons learned from the Apollo program can carry over to any project. They were not pioneered by NASA. They are time-tested tools and skills that have been successfully employed by project managers on programs both large and small. The first scheduling tool we want to look at is the Gantt chart. A Gantt chart is a type of bar chart used to illustrate the start and finish dates of project tasks. Its purpose is to provide visual deadlines and to show parallel tasks. The initial chart is usually based on the project's statement of work. While a Gantt chart is good for what it is tasked to do, it does have its limitations. It is not recommended to define a work breakdown structure and the schedule activities at the same time. It does not work well with large projects of 30 or more activities. It's not useful at displaying information. It does not represent the complexity of a project. Its horizontal bars misrepresent the actual resource requirements of a project. And a Gantt chart with % complete shading may miscommunicate the true schedule performance status. But despite those limitations, the Gantt chart serves an admirable purpose as a tool to illustrate the start and finish dates of elements of a project. After this lecture, you'll be tasked with creating a Gantt chart. An even simpler work tracking tool is the Kanban board, positioned to display the status of work in progress. Kanban is a scheduling system for lean and just-in-time production. Developed in Japan by Toyota, the Kanban board is used to manage work with delivery while not overloading team members. In this approach, the process from definition to task delivery is displayed for all to see and pull from. As noted in previous lectures, regular project meetings are important venues to discuss issues and uncover project needs. In an evaluation of NASA project management during the Apollo program, researchers from Syracuse University found that the frequent use of project meetings helped facilitate the flow of information within NASA and between NASA and its private contractors. They also helped resolve conflicts within and between project teams. But to be effective, meetings must be managed well so that they are timely, stay on the topics that need to be discussed, and are structured so all attendees know what to expect and what is expected of them. Running an effective meeting begins in the preparation stage. The meeting leader needs to make the meeting objectives clear so everyone knows what is going to be discussed. This decision-making process helps the leader to also determine who needs to attend the meeting. Be sure that all team members maintain a calendar that is not only current, but also public. This will allow the project manager to view their schedules and plan meeting times so that all team members can attend either face-to-face or virtually. You might want to encourage team members to use color-coded categories to indicate the importance of various meetings so that meeting priorities can be sorted quickly. An agenda is also required, which includes a preset amount of time for each topic. This is critical for topics that have the potential to derail a meeting. By placing a time limit on the discussion, a parking lot of issues raised can be maintained and reviewed in a future meeting. When the meetings are held, the project manager needs to establish ground rules early in the project to ensure everyone contributes to the discussions and no one person monopolizes the meetings. By encouraging everyone to contribute, they feel valued within the team. During the meeting, participants should not be using their smartphones, tablets, or computers if at all possible. The main exception would be if they are using the devices to further the meeting discussion. Otherwise, they may not be focusing on the meeting or contributing to it. It is common for people to leave meetings with very different interpretations of what actually happened. To reduce the risk of this happening, meeting notes should be sent to all team members after the conclusion of the meeting. This email needs to list what was accomplished at the meeting itself and a list of new or completed action items. This concludes the final lecture of the Project Management Basics course. Next, we want you to practice building a Gantt chart using the Excel template and instructions available on the associated SharePoint site. When you have completed the chart, load your finished copy back to SharePoint for review.